When I got divorced, everybody told me that, oh, you'll get through it, you'll be okay. So many people go through this process and they turn out fine, right? However, nobody really talks about the stages that you go through upon a huge life transformation such as divorce. Now that I am about like 2 years post separation and now finally finalizing my divorce, I want to go over things that I wish that I would have known going through divorce, and basically just like a big life transformation. If you're somebody that is rebuilding your life in some form or fashion, hopefully this video will help you feel a little less alone and bring some explanation to what you're going through and some things that you might be feeling. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hello if you are new, my name is Andrea Johnson. Here we talk about all things spirituality, self-development, and stepping into the highest version of ourselves and living a life that we truly love. One of the things I wish I would have known is healing is not linear. Some days you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, I got this by the balls. I feel so great. I'm stepping into a new life. And then in literally the same day, you can flip the switch, go down a dark rabbit hole. You can second guess everything that you're doing. You might feel lost. You don't know what you're doing in life, and you can slip into basically a depression. It's because, guys, healing happens in cycles. It just depends on what you're going through, like how you are as a person, where your energy is at, and what's happening in your life at the current moment of what that cycle actually looks like for you. It can feel very defeating when you feel like you're backtracking. Try not to judge yourself too harshly on the days of where you don't feel good. It's kind of like you have to give yourself space and grace and just allow yourself to feel and to release whatever it is that you're feeling without judgment, right? So it's like any kind of a life transformation of any sorts, guys. As long as you're headed in a direction overall, that's what truly matters. Especially in the beginning, guys, what you're feeling, you're probably not going to feel that way later on, and it could actually get worse later on, because typically in the beginning of any kind of transformation, it's almost like a shock to the body. It's almost a shock to your nervous system, and when we have those intense shocks, we almost have to go into survival mode. You can think about it like trauma. Your ego is being deconstructed, and it's almost like the brain goes through a period of like disassociation because it can't process exactly what is going on. And to even get through what you're going through, you almost have to pull yourself from that. You can't really think about it. You just have to do. It's like survival mode, right? And when we are in survival mode, guys, we can't do the work. We can't process our emotions. We can't sit with ourselves. We're just trying to make it through, right? So that's what I want you to remember is in the beginning, when you're probably going through a heavy transformation, your processing of what happened is probably going to come later on when your body feels safe enough to actually start releasing what it needs to and deconstructing the ego around that transformation to then eventually start rebuilding yourself. You're grieving more than just the relationship, the loss of the relationship, or whatever kind of transformation you're going through. And I don't want you to look at it as you're losing something. I want you to look at it as something is happening for you. You're gaining something from this experience rather than losing anything, okay? You have to remember that, as whatever falls out of your life is going to be replaced with something even higher, okay? Our ego builds an identity around our environment, and when something big falls out of our life, everything that have the idea that you have about yourself with that person falls away. So the ego basically loses a piece of itself, and that's ego death. You literally mourn who you were like somebody died. Like my therapist had said, you're literally going through a death and a rebirth. You're mourning your old self like you would somebody dying. It's the same process of grief. What we all know about grief, it happens in cycles. It's not clean cut, right? You're literally waffling back and forth between all the stages of grief all the time. You're also grieving over the life that you thought that you would have. Your basically timeline of where you thought your life was going is ripped out from underneath you. The illusion, the idea that you built in your head, what you thought your life was going to be. This truly helped me realize what is reality and what is fantasy, and the world that I was living in my head. And you have to surrender and just let go. Realize the things that you can control and what you can't control. Just trust in something higher than yourself, that everything is happening for a reason and it's happening for you and your highest good. Because when you're literally going through the shit, guys, and the transformation, you're not gonna see how it's helping you. You're not gonna see how it's happening for you. You know, a lot of us might be stuck in a victim mindset during that time of like, why me? Like, why is this happening? But literally, you won't realize it until you're out of it. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. It is definitely not. Being alone can be difficult at first, especially if you're not used to it, and especially if you've lived with somebody for basically the majority of your life, or if you've never been alone. If you start to do the inner work, you eventually start wanting to be alone. You start actually enjoying being alone because it's peace. There's something peaceful, something reassuring, and a sense of trust that comes with this, is the best way that I can describe it. And I've never had that feeling before or experienced before because I was always around somebody else. There was always some sort of a distraction, or my energy was always intertwined with, we'll say, my husband's. I never knew what it was like to basically come home to myself. That is knowing yourself. And like I said, it can be uncomfortable at first, especially if you have a lot of thoughts going on. And it's very uncomfortable to sit with those thoughts and to shine light on them, because literally, guys, when you sit with your thoughts and you actually allow the body to process it, it processes it the exact same way that it processes pain. And it literally, it does feel like you're about to go through some form of a pain, but if you can sit through it, it will release, and those thoughts no longer hold merit over you. You just let it go. My biggest tip of when you're going through a life transformation, please do not try to fill your life with distractions. Now, it's not wrong to, want to go out and experience new things, do new things, try to figure out who you are. Don't lose yourself by, let's say, jumping into another relationship. Don't try to distract yourself with drugs, alcohol. Don't try to numb yourself with these things, bypass the work that actually needs to be done, because then you're going to miss the transformation. You'll just end up repeating the karmic cycle, okay? You literally have to sit with yourself and do the work and process all the stuff that you basically bypassed in the beginning just to get through survival mode. You're going to start to question your identity, and this comes when you try to find yourself. It can be a very confusing time. It can be very stressful, and you can feel like you're lost all over again. Your identity literally did die with that person, or with the transformation. You lost a piece of yourself, and now you're trying to rebuild who you are without that thing in your life with this new transformation. So this is a blessing, because when things fall away from our life, or when we go through traumatic situations, it's literally a rewiring of the brain. Neuroplasticity pathways break, and it can be extremely scary, but it gives us the chance and the freedom to be able to make new neurological connections consciously. Most of the time, people don't do this consciously. They fall back into patterns and routines because it's familiar of what they know. But when you change environments, when you change routines, your energy changes because those neuroplasticity pathways are broken. It gives you the freedom to choose more easily. If you ever wanted to recreate yourself, it's a perfect opportunity to do so, and to consciously choose who it is that you want to be, creating a new identity. Okay, you're creating a new ego, essentially. You're going to start asking yourself questions. What is it that I actually like? What do I want my life to look like? Especially after the illusion was probably ripped away from you. Who am I without this person, or without, the thing that fell away in my life? It's terrifying, guys, because the ego feels threatened, but it's exciting at the same time, because change is about to happen in a good, positive direction if you consciously take the steps to choose different. You have to choose different to create a different reality, right? Otherwise, you'll repeat the cycle. Divorce or transformation is going to expose the places that you've abandoned yourself. It's basically going to show you your shit. When there's nobody else to blame the way that you feel, everything that you probably thought that this other person was causing or triggering you or whatever, you're going to realize that it was all you. The person was mirroring back your own shit, because without them, the shit is still there. It's just showing up in different places in your life. So you realize that you were the problem. Not to say that like the whole marriage ending and all that stuff like that or whatever happened was all your fault. It's exposing basically your weak points. You're gonna find this whenever you start reflecting on the situation. You're going to see how you ignored your intuition. You're going to see how you need to raise your self-worth, so then you no longer accept shit that you went through, right? Boundaries. You're going to see where you stayed quiet just to keep the peace. When you start actually developing a sense of self-worth, you will no longer accept that in your life. And you will look back and realize where you abandoned yourself. You will never do that again. You raise your standards pretty much. You raise and hold boundaries. Guys, you have to reflect on it. You have to look back and see how you got to where you're at so you don't repeat the process. Healing is not just about healing your heart. You're healing your nervous system, guys. And people think that healing is just about changing their thoughts, their reality, or things like that. The body remembers everything that you went through. And especially if you went through some form of like a love transformation, your idea of love is going to be changing, especially when you start healing your nervous system. You're going to feel what was trauma, but you're going to realize where you thought that was love and what love truly feels like, because your nervous system will be healing. You have to train your body on what peace feels like, because your body remembers what you grew up on in childhood, which is probably childhood trauma. And that's where you got your idea of love. And that's where you probably entered into the relationship that you did, trauma bond, karma, karmic, whatever, twin flame, whatever you want to call it. It was transforming you to teach you a lesson. Now you're having to develop your own sense of love and train your nervous system to realize what that is. It's a higher love, okay? And the only way to develop a higher love and train your body to realize that is to give it to yourself. Is to start loving yourself and giving you what you need. And it kind of brings me to my next point of that you are the only one that can love you the most. The more that you love yourself, the more you are going to accept love from other people. And you have to train your body to be able to accept it. Because otherwise, you're going to still be chasing or being pulled with that magnetic pull to partners that are going to be just exactly like your last one, just in a different body. You have to do the work. You have to show yourself love. And this comes when you identify those parts of yourself that are needing love, those lower level energies, doing the inner work, right? The shadow work. When you're shining light on the things that don't feel good and you're integrating them into your life, you're accepting them. Okay, the body can process that energy. It literally, when you shine your consciousness on the things that don't feel good in your life and you sit with it and you look at it, can the body then process it and let it go, shining light on it, your consciousness, for you to then accept higher love? Your frequency raises, and so now your body starts to wire new neuroplasticity pathways around this frequency, new thoughts around this vibration. Your vibration literally just rises whenever you process energy. You let go of lower level energy. And then you start to see the world differently. You start to feel differently. You're operating at a higher level of love. You're operating at a new frequency. You're going to see that shift. The old shit that you used to tolerate that probably felt good or normal or like love in the beginning of maybe years ago before you did all this work, you're going to see that shift and realize, oh shit, that was not love, because you've experienced something higher. And we do that by giving love to ourselves, and you do it by shadow work, and you can do love in action as well too. You can do things for yourself to elevate yourself, to make you feel higher, right? Self-love rituals, we'll say. But the best way to do it is to accept yourself for who you are. no matter what that looks like. That's probably, I think, one of the biggest things that I've learned is what love truly looks like. And it's self-acceptance. And you have to accept yourself before anybody else can accept you. No matter what you feel, what you're going through, what you think your life should look like, where you're at, you have to accept it. What else can you do? If you accept where you're at and who you are, regardless if it's not where you want to be, but you understand and you trust yourself enough that it's going to get better. So it's easier to accept it, knowing that it's not permanent if it's something that you don't like, because you're going to change it. Nothing in this life is permanent. Change is inevitable. Everything that you have in your external world will fall away at one point. And this is where we experience trauma, because we attach ourselves to our external world. It's just how the ego operates. The only thing that will not change in this world is what is in here. That's the thing that will always be with you. Your heart, your awareness, your consciousness, God. It's all inside of you. And that is the only constant, and you have to accept it where you are. If you don't accept you, you're basically rejecting God. We'll say that. It's one and the same. That's self-abandonment. That is self-betrayal. And trust yourself enough and in something higher that has your back, that your life will change. It will get better. I promise you. You're probably stronger than what you realize. The human is resilient. That is one thing that is very unique about the human. I don't think a lot of people come to this realization of how strong they truly are until they hit rock bottom. And when you hit rock bottom, it's this magical shit place that you just start doing all the things that you were scared to do because you're at such a low, uncomfortable, painful point in your life. You literally don't give a shit anymore. Your give a shits are gone. You don't care what anybody thinks. And that fear is gone because it's almost like you have nothing left to lose because you're in such a low place that fear and the doingness of the stuff that you wanted to do or getting out of your comfort zone is more elevating than sitting at rock bottom. Rock bottom is death. So then you start actually making movements and not attaching yourself to outcomes because you don't care anymore. And that's where the freaking magic happens in your life, is when you start taking action and not expecting an outcome or attaching yourself to an outcome. You just start moving. This chapter, that whatever you're going through in life, whatever transformation, it's not about losing somebody or losing that thing. And I kind of touched on this earlier. It's a new chapter. This is a chance to build the person and the life that you want. It's a blessing. You have to look at it as a new chapter and something new coming into your life that is of higher vibration than whatever fell away. You start to see why it is that you went through what you did, even at the time when you entered into these things, these relationships, or you were doing some of the things that felt fine at the time. It aligned with you at the time. You start to see how you grow from life experience. When you do the inner work, when you experience higher love, you feel that shift in energy. And then you start to get uncomfortable of where you're at in your life because the energy on the inside is not matching the external world. So you feel that resistance. You start to feel uncomfortable. You have to make the change. You have to make the change in your external world to then match what is aligning on the inside. Otherwise, you're going to slowly kill yourself. Your health will decline. You'll be stuck in misery. I truly think that a lot of the discomfort that we have in our life is that we're not actually doing the things that we want to do in our life. We're not actually giving ourselves what we need in our life. And a lot of us are operating from an empty cup. When you start actually giving yourself the things that you need and you start loving yourself, you start building your sense of self-worth and your confidence. You start doing the hard shit in life, practicing resilience. You start trusting yourself. Everything changes. Everything changes. I truly think that's where a lot of our pain points come from in life. It's because a lot of us stay stuck in the comfort zone. A lot of us don't change. We just put up with stuff and we feel like that we're stuck there, that's our life, and that's not. You're not truly living from that point. It's a slow death for the soul to stay in that point. And I feel like that's where some of the things that happen to us in our life, or the things that happen for us in our lives, it's an intervention. It's the universe stepping in and being like, okay, if you're not going to make this decision, if you're not going to do the things that I'm placing in your heart and in your mind, then I'm going to push you to do it. That's where huge things fall away from our lives that really shake up our identity and who it is that we thought that we were and what we thought our life was going to look like, because there's a greater plan at play that we subconsciously probably know, but we consciously don't take the steps to do or do the work to get there. That's where it's like this combination of self-trust. You can achieve these things, and to also trust in something higher than yourself has your back, and that everything is happening for you and for a reason, and you just need to move with it. Consciously, you have to trust intuition. Basically all the time you should trust intuition. Trust the feeling to guide you and make conscious choices in alignment with the good feeling. I'm sending you all my light and my love. Satnam.